What's your earliest memory? Asked the professor. It was a generic icebreaker, typical of the first day of semester. And yet, as my classmates recounted stories of their dogs and water slides, I was sinking into my chair. Maybe if I kept my head down and was quiet enough, they'd skip me. Or maybe if I sloped enough, they just wouldn't see me. Maybe they could forget. Or maybe I could forget. But suddenly I realized that the person next to me was finishing their story. And I thought, well, shit. Well, shit. By that point, all I had to say was something. I mean, anything. My mind just began racing, darting back and forth, trying to remember cute YouTube videos I'd seen or funny stories I'd heard. Anything. But by that moment, the professor had already turned towards my corner of the room, along with the heads of 20 other bored college students. All I had to do was just say something. Anything. But in that moment, forming a sentence became a feat of rocket science. So I looked around the room, and after a brief-ish moment of awkward silence, really awkward silence, I muttered something about seeing my newborn little sister for the first time. There. It was done. Many of the class smiled and whispered things like, "Aww, that's so cute." The class had moved on, and so did the students. But I didn't, because I had just lied to my entire class. Because I hate my earliest memory. My earliest memory dates back to when I was about 4, right? And I was like a plump kid for my age, with a big belly, but a just bigger smile. I was said to be lost in my own world, creating narratives and stories with my toys for just hours on end. I was, as any 4-year-old is, just like content with life. One day, however, that all kind of changed. I was woken up from a midday nap to sounds of screaming and shouting. I was immediately terrified and just froze where I was. I recall not feeling surprised, as if I was used to this happening, but still scared nonetheless. I was so scared. As I listened to the commotion, I heard and recognized swear words that I'd heard before, but just never really understood the meaning. I heard screams and bangs that to this day just tear at my gut. I began just crying pretty softly and hoping that no one would hear my tears. And all of a sudden, the front door just slammed, and the screams from downstairs just turned into soft tears. Even at 4, I knew that if my mom had ever heard me cry, that I would hurt her. So I held my breath, convinced that if I don't breathe, then I damn sure won't cry. I stood there and cried for what felt like an eternity, just lost in an innocent and a frightened mind. And it probably took the police about half an hour to reach our house. I was morbidly intrigued by all the commotion, and I tiptoed downstairs to see what was happening. And there, I saw my mom, struggling to compose herself in front of the police officers. Their imposing blue uniforms blocked my view and calmed me, but as they moved into the kitchen, I saw strewn in front of me clumps of hair on the carpet. My eyes drift around the sides of the room, finally fixating on those blotches of blood covering the ground. The sight is just so hard to process, and I'm unable to connect those bloodstains with the gestures that my mom is making to her wrists in front of the police officers. And then I see that knife. The knife under the side table with the lamp, sandwiched between the two floral sofas. Covered in blood is my earliest, most vivid memory of the time. I focus on that knife, and I'm unable to understand, unwilling to understand the meaning of that knife and the red blotches covering it. I was traumatized, and I don't remember much after that moment, willingly or unwillingly. These moments increased over time, and with time, my memory became way more clear and distinct. I lived with these, and they become such a dark part of me, a part that I hated, but that I knew was there. My damp pillow was a testament to how often I cried myself to sleep at night, hoping that it could just all end, but never knowing how. When your earliest memory is one of a daily horror, it eats away at your self-confidence. I was, and I still am, an awkward student in school. And while other boys played sports, hung out, I had to find my refuge in books. Reading tales of foreign lands, but with similar struggles with life. But then, college became a time to break free of that stranglehold of my past, and finally, for once, create memories that I had control over. After that first class, my freshman year, I made myself a promise that sure, my earliest memories weren't happy or anything that I want to remember. But the least that I can do for myself, for the people around me that I love, is to live every moment I have so that my last moment is worth remembering. To make that through every moment, every success, but also every stumble and every failure. I spend my time smiling, because life is too damn short to spend lingering on the past and just worrying about the future. To be honest, I don't know if my future will ever, or can ever, or will resolve the problems of my past. But what I do know is that if I spend every moment living my best life as my best self, then every last memory I ever have will be worth remembering.